let's get right to it. Jesse Marsch fired today by Leeds. I thought it was coming. I'm kind of surprised that they did it this quickly, considering they let him spend money and bring in his players over the January transfer window. What was your thoughts on Marsch being shown the door by Leeds?
Yes, similar to you, really, Will. It was the timing's strange. It did look like it was coming, but to do it one game after the transfer window, when he hasn't really had time to bed in the players that he's got and for them all to gel, it's a weird one for me. But I get it in a way because he hasn't improved the league position. He's leaving them in exactly the same position as when he arrived. Although they're a tighter unit. They're not. When Bielsa left, they were losing by 4 goals, 3 goals, quite frequently. Now it's the odd goal. But as we all know, if you're not scoring and you're losing games, then your time's going to be numbered. Your days are going to be numbered. So, I guess time was up, but timing was a strange one.
Yeah, it really, that's the thing that keeps jumping out to me. When I saw that today, you texted me when I was at breakfast with my wife's family. It's when they let him go through with the transfer window and bring in players, I thought, okay, they're going to give him at least a month or so to try to figure this out. But I did think he's really going to have to turn it around quickly or he's going to end up having a problem. Well, he got one match. That's all he got. But if you're Leeds, you're staring down the barrel of Everton with Sean Dyche right now, looking like they're on the upswing, and they have a good bit of talent still there at Everton. It was just Frank Lampard was a problem. But I do think that I'm surprised to see him go so quickly. I am not surprised to see him go. Now, what this does open up, though, for Marsch is the ability to maybe step in as the U.S. men's national team coach. So if you look at Marsch, look, he was fantastic at Salzburg. It didn't work out at Leipzig. I wonder if he's just one of those managers that we've seen it. Maybe Graham Potter ends up being one of those guys that we see at Chelsea right now. Got it done at Brighton, but struggled once he got the big top players. We saw Nuno fantastic with Wolves and couldn't get the job done with Tottenham. It just didn't work out. Phil Jackson in American sports has never been the best when it comes to putting together a great game plan and out coaching people that way. But if you wanted to manage big personalities, that was the guy you brought in, was Phil Jackson, to win championships. I just wonder if there's a certain level with Marsch that getting buy-in from top-level players is a little bit of a problem for him. I don't know that to be the case, but I kind of do have that question. What are your thoughts on Marsch possibly taking over for Greg Berhalter if and when the U.S. men's national team parts ways with him?
That's a good shout, actually, Will. I hadn't thought of that one, but that looks like a great fit and an obvious one now you mention it. He seems a pretty strong character, and I could see how the way he comes across in interviews, he may rub players up the wrong way, and it's such a fine line. Once you lose guys, and I'm not saying he did, because Leeds always seemed up for it, but I think that team just needs time and more time together. I think it's a case of that. So. But as far as the U.S. national team, that's a good call. If he wants to, it's completely different to running a club daily, coaching a national team. So it depends if he wants to do that. But yeah, that's a good shout if he does. It'd be a good fit.
Yeah, I think also there seems to be this group around American soccer that think it's the Berhalter family's birthright to be able to run U.S. soccer, no matter whether they're good or not. And this maybe is a big enough name and an important enough name and a big enough figure in American soccer that he gives a little cover for those who actually want the best interests of American soccer, not just to make sure all their buddies and their cronies are covered with really well-paying jobs. This gives them the chance to bring in a better coach, a good coach, finally. Not that Berhalter's terrible. He's just never been particularly good. So it kind of was never qualified outside of his last name to ever have the U.S. men's national team job. Jesse Marsch is qualified to have the U.S. men's national team job. It's a really nice fit. I think it would go really well. He clearly has a great relationship with young American players, and that's what they need right now. And so it gives you covered for me to be able to be able to get rid of Greg Berhalter and bring in someone who is a better quality coach, because he still has that name that keeps the old heads in the U.S. around U.S. soccer happy.
Yeah, it would be perfect timing, and you're right. He would break the mold, so to speak. He'd come and ruffle a few feathers. I think he wouldn't care what people thought about him, what he said. I think the past to be the past. I think he's got contacts now. He knows the players in Germany and England and the States as well. So I think he's well placed. He's more than qualified, and he'd be a good character, like you say, to break that Berhalter mold.